So let's say your teacher has asked you to create a scaled drawing. For instance, here's a scaled drawing of the student study area at the Virtual Learning Academy. There's a couple of different ways that you can do this. One of the simplest ways is actually with a tool called Google Drawing, which is exactly what this is. So in this particular document, there's actually an image in the background, and that image is this piece of graph paper. If I slide it out of the way, you can see that it was something that I added and sent to the back. And then I used shapes to kind of create roughly scaled shapes of the different elements that are there. So we have the tables, we have the chairs, we have the little chairs and the bookshelves and the coffee table. So how would you create one of these? Basically all you need to do is you need to get into Google Drive, and once you're in Google Drive, go to the Create button and choose Drawing towards the bottom. And so that will open up your drawing. And let's say you needed to make a scale drawing of your bedroom. So bedroom, scale drawing. Gave it a title. There is a grid pattern in the background here, but the problem with that particular grid pattern is that once you start layering objects on top of it or you print it out, it actually goes away. So what I would do instead is I would go to Insert Image, and on the left here where it says Search, I could search for graph paper and see what pops up. So let's say I like this one, so I hit select, and there's my graph paper, and I can stretch it out. It'll kind of be in the background there. And then what I can do is if I right click, I thought it was right click, but maybe it's up here at the top. Let's see, Tools, Arrange, Background. There is a way to send it to the back. Maybe I got to put an object on top of it first. So let's see that. So let's say, I don't know, this is bed. Okay, so the bed is on top of it. That's good. Now if I right click, order, I can send it back. So that's what I was looking for originally. It just wouldn't give it to me until I put something on there. So I can click send to back. So now that graph paper is in the background. But basically what I do with this particular tool is I just create my objects. Of course what I would need to do is measure my room and then figure out, you know, how many feet each square is going to equal. So it looks like, I don't know, let's say there's 20 squares here. My room is only 10 feet wide. Well, then I know that each square is going to stand for half a foot. So you need to figure that out and then kind of start bringing your objects in. But for any object that you bring in, if you double click on it, you can actually type in the object. So I have some text that's there. I also can use these tools at the top to change the color. So I can change the fill to maybe yellow just so that it's easier to see. I can also change the outline that goes around the particular object to a different color as well. So I can bring in shapes, I can bring in lines. So let's say I wanted to actually sort of create that scale. I could bring in a line here. And let's say I figure out, based on the dimensions of my particular room, that maybe, let me make this a little bit easier to see. Make it orange. Oops, I did something wrong here, where I put in 2 lines. So I need to use the select tool, and I don't want to select the graph paper. I use the select tool to find the line. I'm just going to delete these 2 lines because I accidentally put them in here. Go back to the line tool, drag my line, there it is, and maybe I want to change its color to something easier to see. I can change its size, and then if I want, I can add a text box under it. So maybe based on my calculations, I figured out that this equals 3 feet. Now I have that particular text box there. So you can bring in objects of all sorts of different sizes and shapes. You can bring in lines, and then you can also add text boxes. And finally, if it makes sense, you can even bring in other images, and those buttons are all right here. So that's using Google Drawing. Once your drawing is complete, just like any other Google Doc, what you can do is you can share it using the share button. So that might be one way that you turn it in. Another way is that you can go to File, and you can download as a PDF or a picture file. So if maybe this is a drawing but your teacher's asked you to turn it in as a picture, you can go download as, and then it'll download as a picture file, which then you can turn into Moodle Rooms wherever you need to put it. So that's one way, using Google Drawing. Another way is that if you go to Create, you can go to LucidChart. Now, if LucidChart is not showing up here under Create, there's one other way you can find it. If you're in Drive, you can go to More, and you can find LucidChart towards the bottom. And so LucidChart is another program very similar to Google Drawing. It has a few more bells and whistles than Google Drawing. So I guess it just sort of depends how advanced you want to be. And sometimes it takes a few minutes to load or a few seconds to load, kind of like this is, of course, while I'm trying to make a video. And but once it loads, you actually would see something very similar to Google Drawing. Oh, there it is, it's loaded. So I can click on the orange Create button, and I'm going to create a new document. And there are some templates that you can look through here off to the right and sort of see if you find something that's going to work for you. But more often than not, you probably just need a blank one. So I click on blank. And so this is actually creating a blank LucidChart document for me. And it's loading it up. So first thing I do is I need to give it a title. So this one actually has the graph paper sort of built in the background, so you don't really need to go find that image and bring it in. But just like before, you can use these objects, instead of being up at the top, they're off to the left, to sort of bring in different things. So let's say this is going to be my bed. I just click on it and drag it over. Unlike Google Drawing, it automatically has the text box built into it, so I can just say bed, and then I can sort of adjust it to the rough size that I want. And then now that it's there, just like before, I can change the fill to a color, and I can adjust the line size. That's sort of the outline of it. So there's some tools up here that allow you to adjust it. On the left, so you can bring in different sorts of basic objects, like a text box or a square, or it's like a sticky note, or even just a colored shape. But then there are these other shapes down here in kind of what's called their flowchart area, or even shapes. So if you needed more of a cross shape for whatever that object is, you can bring that in as well. Just like Google Drawing, when you're done with this, you can use the share button, or you can go to File, and I believe it's, there it is, Download As, and then it'll allow you to download it as a PDF or as a picture file, and so you could turn it in that way as well. Alright, so it's just two different ways that you could create scaled drawings using either LucidChart or Google Drive. If you have any questions, my name is Mr. Wood or Joe Wood. Please let me know.